And they found another guy yesterday. He was murdered. He got murdered in his apartment. He's been there a week. And they just smelled the odor yesterday. What kind of shit is that? The neighbor downstairs got charged with his f***ing murder.
The one-wheel pint. The one-wheel XR. They're both one-wheels, and they both have pushback. What's pushback? Well, you should probably go read the manual first. Go ahead, I'll wait. Alright, let's move on. You see that? That was pushback. I'm riding in Pacific mode, which everyone says is akin to Mission on the Plus and XR. I agree, it's smooth and fairly fluid, carvy, and whatever marketing buzzwords people are pretending have real meaning. As far as I can tell, the relationship between Pacific and Skyline is similar enough to Mission and Delirium, respectively, that you may as well just assume the analogy. Anyway, some folks have been saying that the pushback on the Pint is stronger than the XR. I'm not entirely sold on the word strong when describing it, because it assumes some value that I don't think is appropriate. And I've actually noticed a couple of instances on Reddit and the New York City One Wheel group where some riders didn't actually notice the pushback well enough and went through it. In some cases, nosediving. If you're heavy enough, or motivated and distracted enough, the pushback won't be that apparent to you. What I have noticed is that the pushback action is quicker and slightly more pronounced than it is on the XR. Actually, come to think of it, those two things pretty much amount to it being stronger. Damn it, I just screwed myself here, didn't I? Frankly, the pushback on the Pint is almost identical to the pushback on the V1. And according to my pal Earl, similar to the pushback on his Plus. The board stays flat, and when you touch that threshold, the position changes in about a quarter to a half second, and the angle of the board shifts more than that of the XR. This results in a sudden sensation of the board literally pushing you back, which is good. The XR doesn't do that, not in any mode really. The nose lifts a bit, and you may be able to notice it if you have actually paid attention to what it feels like. I found myself cruising at 16 to 17 miles per hour on the XR, looked down, and noticed the nose of the board was slightly higher than the tail. Then I shrugged and realized that was the pushback. The Pint has a concise, almost immediate signal with a nose lift that's higher than the board's elevated mode. And that is the unfortunate thing that I've come to learn about the XR's pushback. The angle of the board when it's pushing back is either the same or less than riding in elevated mode, and the lift of the nose takes place over a slightly longer period of time. I assume this is why so many riders never noticed it and ended up wrecking at speeds that were suboptimal. I'm personally under the impression that Future Motion all but admitted that their iteration of pushback on the XR was less than ideal. The V1 has noticeable pushback at about 12 miles per hour. It is defeatable, and many riders continue to push the speed limit on that board. The Plus also has a slightly more robust engagement of that warning tilt. Coming back to the Pint though, the occurrence of the pushback at about 14 miles per hour serves as a constant reminder of where some of that extra money went. If you can get over the size difference, or if the size is more appropriate for you as a rider, eventually you're going to be hitting that ceiling much more often, even when you don't expect it. It is possible to push beyond the tilt and continue to accelerate. I've gotten to 16 miles per hour, its advertised top speed. I've gotten to 17 miles per hour. It was not easy. If you take a look at my Pint ride videos, you'll notice some spots where I'm nudging past the pushback and touching that upper threshold. It wasn't pleasant though, and involves actually catching the tilt as it happens and pushing the nose back down. Whenever I do it, I don't really feel so good about it because I notice that the torque and the zip of the board drops and it responds sluggishly between about 15 to 16 miles per hour. It's hard to describe accurately with words, but if you ever decide to not obey the tilt and try to flatten back out at that speed, you will feel it. It feels kind of unwelcome, I guess. In closing, none of these things make the Pint a bad board, or a poor choice, or a substandard product. I actually quite like it considering what it is. And once you manage your expectations of what the board can do, then it becomes highly enjoyable in spite of its limits. And so, as I get more familiar with the Pint, I'll be putting together a review that compares it to the XR, as well as some other more focused content. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please subscribe. If you didn't like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs down and let me know in the comments why it's garbage. And, most importantly, take care of yourself.